Dear students, this is next part of phylum Arthropoda 3. So we were actually talking about the arthropods, their different features that make them specific and make them very successful, and of course generalized features too. So feature number 4 is highly developed sense organs. These organisms have immense sense of sight, touch, smell, hearing, balance, chemical reception, and so on. These are having different types of sense organ, like they do have a complex eye that consists of, that is also called a compound eye, that have a complex structure. Here you can see um, they do have a complex eye which have light sensitive cells. Here you can see them, which are the receptor cells. Then they do have a specific kind of dermis, the layer, which is there below the lens. So there is a lens, and then the light energy is converted into nerve impulse and go to the we can say the nervous area. Then they do have CT, CETA is singular and CT plural. So they do have CETA, which are sensory organs. Here you can see one. Down there is a receptor cell, and then there is a nerve fiber which is going to the brain, and then there is an outside hair-like structure which displaces from its position towards any direction. That gives information to the brain about the location of the, for example, a predator, a prey, maybe the air waves, and so on and so on. So they do have highly developed sense organs for touch, for smell, for hearing, for balance, for chemical reception. For example, um, the bees may feel the presence of flowers from far away places and then can move towards that. The butterflies, they do the same. Then finding the organism of the same species, like for example, one kind of organism is finding the other. They can also do that. They also have a good sense of hearing, balance, because they have to, many of them are flying insects, they have to fly, so they also do. So they have highly developed sense organs. That's why they are very successful organisms on earth. Next is, now number 5 is the complex behavioral patterns. So they actually show complex behaviors. Many of them are called the social organisms, like honeybee. Honeybees are considered to be social organisms. Social means that they do live in group of animals, and in that group, all the specific organisms or individuals perform their own particular function. Like in a honeybee comb, uh, there are worker bees which collect honey and convert it, collect nectar and convert it into honey. Then there is a queen bee. Then there are drones. Then there are larvae, pupae, and so on. Everyone is performing their own function. Butterflies, they also have a complex mechanism. Just like that, many of them have complex and organized activities. Many of the butterflies migrate and fly from so cold areas to the other areas, like warm areas. Even sometimes they have to travel thousands of miles to do that. This type of behavior may be innate, that is unlearned, or may be learned. So some behaviors they learn, and some are innate or unlearned, that is these are present in the genes and they are expressed at a particular time, or we can say the age. So this complex behavioral pattern actually give them more success in dealing with their surroundings or the environment. So then number 6, that is limited intra-specific competition. See, it means that within the members of same species there is less competition. Many arthropods, they undergo metamorphosis. Metamorphosis means that they have different types of shapes during their lifetime. Um, that is, um, after fertilization, they make zygote that is converted into a larva that look like a worm. Then they are converted into another kind of structure called pupa, and then they become adults. So there are different life forms. Now these different life stages like larva, or maybe sometimes there are many larvae. The small larva is formed, the larger larva is formed, then another larva is formed, then pupa and then adult. So what happened that all these organisms or stages basically have different nutrition or habitats. Their nutrition is different, the habitat is different. See, but adult butterfly, as you can see, is living on another place, larva is living on another part, and pupa is on another part. It means there is much less competition for nutrition and habitat uh, among these organisms of same species. So that's why they can explore more parts of the same habitat. In the same habitat, they use different nutrition, they use different place to live. So there is much less competition within the species. That actually make them even more successful. So that's why these organisms are considered to be more successful due to limited intraspecific competition. This is another important feature which make them very successful animals on Earth. Now we talk about their other generalized features. So we talked about 6 different characteristics which make arthropods very successful animals on Earth, and that's why they make 75% of all animals on Earth approximately. Now there are many other characteristics, like these are bilateral. They are bilaterally symmetrical animals. It means that you can hypothetically divide their bodies into two equal halves, and both halves are alike. They are triploblastic. It means that they have three germ layers: ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. And they, of course, make their different structures. Like ectoderm make different structures, mesoderm make different structures, and endoderm make a few more structures. No, there are no septa. Before that, we have seen that there is segmentation or septa, we can say section of the body in many of the organisms. But these organisms, they do not have septa, those divisions. They do have an open circulatory system. Open circulatory system means that blood does not always flow into the vessels. There are main vessels which make branches, and out of those branches, blood moves into the body cavity and bath all the cells of the body and then comes back. Now, this open circulatory system is very successful in these organisms, and one of the reasons is their tracheal system. You remember we talked about tracheal system, or the system of the air ducts in which air travels, moves, and exchange of gases occur. Now, both of these systems, because they are working in collaboration, that is, there is a system of circulatory fluid inside the body cavity, and then open many pipes which are moving, which are present here and there in the body cavity, and of course in a very regular fashion. um, Both of them actually make gas exchange very fast and very efficient. That's why they become very successful. So open circulatory system works very well for these organisms, despite this is an older form of circulatory system still, but it is very successful here. Then there is an indirect development. Indirect development means that they do not from a zygote, they do not develop directly into a miniature adult, but they undergo different stages like larva, pupa, and then become adult. So they do have indirect development. Now next we will talk about their classification of the groups. Thank you.